know how much I love Turkey. All right. I came there many years ago. I was in Istanbul, and the fondest memory I have is of going to the old, part of Istanbul and visiting this place where you have some of Rumi's followers. I have a great, great, great love for Rumi, and watching, the Islamic orchestra and then the whirling dervishes. And I remember my daughter was very, very young that time. I think she was just maybe 2 years old or something. And we were warned that, look, it'll be a little bit risky to take her because it's a very immersive, quiet, meditative experience when these whirling dervishes are going on, and she might get restless. And it was incredible. It went on for over an hour, and she was kind of in a magical place, so just mesmerized by the whole experience that, she didn't even express a single restlessness or speak out of turn or anything. I think she was just as blissed out as I and my wife were. So anyway, I have such beautiful memories, of Istanbul, and that's the only part of Turkey I've seen, and I know there's even more to that beautiful country. So hopefully one day I will come back and see more. Um, I have long been drawn to engaging with audiences, and early in my life, there was this at times draw that would come, probably like for many of us, that wow, like wouldn't it be nice to be a great singer, and then you have this audience, and then you're expressing, your deep thoughts and feelings to them through your music. But I had no musical talent in me, so that never happened. And then I went into business. I did a PhD. I went into business for a while, and more recently, in the last 15 odd years, I've come back to teaching, and I have an audience. In addition to the classroom, I do keynotes and things now. And over time, I've also spoken to the camera, by recording videos. And now I go back to that earlier pull I felt when I was a teenager or so. And I realized that, you and I, we all feel at times certain kind of stirrings and pulls within us. And we may give it a certain outer form that we think, oh, this pull is because, I wanted to be a singer, but that never happened. But actually, there are various ways to make music. There are various ways to express your voice. And singing happens to be one of them, but teaching in a classroom happens to be another. Parenting a small child happens to be another. Having a conversation with a stranger at the airport happens to be another. Doing a keynote happens to be another. You know, doing silent forms of dance happens to be another, like the whirling dervishes. So do not artificially restrict yourself by giving a very specific form to the kind of inner stirrings and yearnings you have. Respect those yearnings. Those yearnings might be true to your destiny and to who you are, but the outer form may keep changing over the course of your life, or based on the roles you play, or based on what the universe is inviting from you, given the conditions that exist in the world. So that's a thought I want to leave to you. What is the secret to effective communication? If you had to boil it down to like one thing, right? Can I ask you to help me understand sort of what you are learning at Toastmasters, what you have learned over the course of your life, your studies, your career? Can you use chat and just quickly give me kind of your point of view on this? What do you think, if you had to distill it down to one thing, what's the one secret to effective communication? I'd love to see what you all think. So Elif is saying empathy. And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your names wrong, all right? Please forgive me for that, or please free to jump in and educate me on that. So Dilek, right, is saying listening. Onder also listening. Great, great. Know specifically what is it that you're trying to say, saying, Lance? Team collaboration, clarity, um, intention, Oscar. Wonderful. These are all very powerful points. These are all very powerful points. Any other final thoughts? Observation, selling a vision. Abdul Rahman. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you for these. I think, these are very nice, simple, but profound ways to think about it. Listen, let me comment on a couple of these, and I'll then give you kind of like a thought from my side on it. Listening is something that we increasingly hear about today. Empathy, listening, getting to tune in to the thoughts and feelings of the people around you, your audience. I want to make sure that when we talk about listening, though, that we are also talking about listening to your own inner voice. Listening to your own inner voice. What I found in my studies of some of these exemplary great leaders, in the world, like the kinds that we have, I've talked about in my book, Mastery, Outer Impact. What I find in these people is that they were in very complicated situations where there was no perfect answer. There were very hard choices to make. And often they had to retreat to the very center of their being. And they had to really, with a very calm mind and with a certain noble intention, consult with their conscience. And somehow in the modern world, we have lost that discipline. We have lost that awareness that while there are many books to read and TED Talks to watch and other content to consume, in a sense, the wisdom of the universe can often be also coming to us from our own inner guidance. When we are at that calmest part of who we are, everything that we have learned in life, every experience that we've had in life gets integrated and comes to us in the form of some intuitional guidance. In fact, some mystics would say that guidance is not just based on what you have learned and experienced in this life. It is based on a wisdom that is lying in the universe, that if you open your mind to it, it guides you. So I would cheer you on in your quest to become a good listener. And I would also encourage you to see that as not just an outer quest, but an inner quest. With regard to the clarity and intentionality that a few of you have brought up, I love that idea as well. I do think that before you walk into any conversation, in any interaction, even before you walk in to engage with the day in the first thing in the morning, it is so beautiful to set a positive intention for it. What that means is to check with yourself. How are you feeling about this day? How are you feeling about this role? How are you feeling about this conversation, this meeting? And if there's anxiety, if there is irritation, if there's disengagement, how can you, in a healthy way, shift that emotional state to get yourself into a place where you feel a sense of possibility, where you feel like this is another fresh opportunity to engage with this person? Who knows what I will discover? Who knows what small steps we can take towards building trust, etc. That is the idea of setting a positive intention. How to do that? I'm going to come back to it in a couple of moments. But I definitely like this notion of clarity and intention setting at the moments when you are preparing to walk into an event or conversation, so that you are really approaching it from a sense of possibility, engagement, interest, and commitment to bringing out the best in yourself and the best in others. Yeah, Timur, you have your hand raised. Feel free to jump in if you wanted to share something.
Mr. Hitendra, excuse me to not explain earlier.
Yeah, timer cards. No question.
Our timer just show everyone, but he will show green, yellow, and red cards for you, but no questions so far.
Okay, very good. Okay, sorry. So timer then. Okay, cool. Thank you. If I had to distill down communicating with impact into one framework, then this is what I might propose to you. And I'm going to see if I can quickly do it as a whiteboard kind of figure to show you. All right. And this is the figure that I'm going to draw. A triangle. Okay. This is you. Okay. Then this is your audience. Okay. And this is your message. Okay. And the essence of great communication to me is what you might call fusion. Fusion is where there is a complete alignment between you, your message, and the audience. You are one. You, your message, and your audience are one. What do I mean by that? What I mean by that is that between you and your message, you are one with your message, which means you know your message, you care about your message. In fact, you are in deep love with your message, right? So you and your message are one because there's complete integrity. Complete integrity. And what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you're saying, what you're doing is just one thing. Mahatma Gandhi, right, who is well loved for being a peacemaker, a key steward of India's independence struggle against Britain. You know, he once went to Britain in 1931 to deliver a talk at this roundtable conference they had about India's independence. And he was asked after that, actually his private secretary was asked by a journalist, how did Mr. Gandhi do it? You know, he spoke here in London and he spoke for over an hour and he was so eloquent, so clear, so just fluid in his thoughts. And yet he did not use a single piece of paper. He didn't refer to any notes. How did he do it? And Gandhi's private secretary smiled and looked at the journalist and said, listen, he said, you know, in your case and in my case, we think one thing, we do another, we say a third, and we feel a fourth. And that's why we need paper. He says, in the case of Gandhi, what he thinks, what he feels, what he says, what he does is the same thing. And so he never needs any paper. So that's what I mean about somebody who is completely in touch with their message, completely fused with their message. The way to do that is that, in a sense, your message becomes your life. It is not only in public moments that you're communicating with people, but it's in private moments where you are communicating with yourself through your own thoughts, through stories you tell yourself. And you are constantly staying vigilant and policing your inner world of communication in a way that completely harmonizes with your values, completely harmonizes with your priorities, so that even in your private conversations with your friends, that is where you're coming from. It's the same you. And therefore, when you're asked to give an impromptu talk, somewhere, you are ready for it because you've always been ready for it, because this is the way you think. Everything you think from within is what you will express in a grateful way on the outside when the time comes. That's the complete fusion between you and your message. What about the audience? Being fused with your audience is something that some of you were starting to indicate in your ideas. Being fused with your audience means that you are a good listener. You are tuning into their feelings and thoughts. You are meeting your audience where it is, not where you want them to go, not where you are, but where they are. You are honoring them for the goodness and the wisdom that lies within them. You are becoming their friend. You are holding their hand. And then you are gradually opening them to your message in small steps. And as you're doing it, you do it so thoughtfully that they feel very fused with you because they feel they can trust you, they like you, they can see that you like them. So there's that trust between you and them. But also, you do it so delicately, so gently. You win over their hearts and minds so that then they become fused with the message. And when they become fused with the message, then it's no longer your message, it's their message. They walk out of the room feeling that, all this person did was remind me of the things I myself believe in. Maybe I forgot that, but I do believe in these things. These are my own truths. These are my own truths, right? You want them to get to that place where they believe these are their own truths, right? Then there is complete fusion. And then there is magic that happens in the room and something memorable comes out from it. And the person walks out feeling stirred, committed, convinced. All right. So we only have so much time today. And so I won't be able to go into a lot more on this. But listen, if this is a topic of interest to you, I have recorded a masterclass on communicating with impact. And it's a video-based class. And I'd be happy to open it up to you and give you individually access to it so that you can review that for the next level of detail that I've done on each of these parts, right? So how do you do this part well, fusing with your message? How do you do this part well, having you and your audience fuse with each other? And how do you do this part well, having your audience fuse with the message? So let me just pause there. Yeah, Saurabh?
No question timer.
Oh, okay. Sorry about that. Yeah. Well, I'm happy to pause here and just take any reactions or thoughts from you.